From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Freezing rain, sleet, and snow could mean a real mess for your Monday morning trip to work or school. And that sound that you'll hear throughout the morning, the beep beep right there, that means it's a WRTV storm team. We're in alert mode. Good morning to you. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Megan Shin. Thanks for starting your Monday morning with Good Morning Indiana.
And I'm Rafael Sanchez. As you can see here at the WRTV studio in Johnson County. Todd Clausen, I have the big red banner waiting for what's to come. I've stepped outside the front door here in Franklin. A little chilly, obviously. It's winter. Light breeze, but none of that stuff is swelling just yet.
Yeah,
Your weather watcher this morning, Todd.
All right, we always appreciate that, and every other weather watcher that's out there sends us in information. Everybody's dry right now. That's the good news. And if you're walking out the door at this 5 o'clock hour, or even at the 6 o'clock hour, you should be in good shape as far as school goes. And most kids get to school before the precipitation starts, so that's the good news. But this winter weather advisory will go into effect across all of central Indiana, basically, as we work our way throughout the middle half of the morning and then all the way throughout the afternoon and evening. Here's radar right now, and it's nice and quiet across the area. There's not a whole lot going on, but there's a lot of moisture down to our south, and this is all going to continue to lift to the north. All the significant snow accumulation is going to be confined across northern Indiana once you get towards South Bend, Elkhart, and then over into the Fort Wayne area. We're going to be dealing with a mixed bag of precipitation. It's going to start as some snow, then go over to freezing rain, and then eventually over to all rain for most of us. The exception, northern locations, again, you probably kind of just toggle between some snow and freezing rain. Temperatures are at or below freezing right now across all of central Indiana. These temperatures will go down another couple degrees here this morning as that precipitation starts to arrive by 9-10 o'clock across the area. Precipitation's probably heaviest mid-morning into the early afternoon. Temperatures still right around the 1 degree mark, but that's where we're going to have the freezing rain, and eventually we'll get above freezing and transition everything over to all rain as we head into the mid-afternoon. We'll time it all out for you using TrueCast hour by hour coming up in Maine weather, Lauren, in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Very quiet out on the roads at this early hour. Here's a live look at I-69 near State Road 37 up in Hamilton County. You can see just one car moving across your screen there, so we'll keep you updated as anything changes throughout the morning.
There, one more car, 3540 Adams. Control Adam 9, update the cab. We have 5 victims.
That's the heartbreaking scan of traffic the moment that Metro Police discovered the city's deadliest mass murder in 15 years. Our Troy Washington is live this morning with the latest on this ongoing investigation. Troy?
Good morning. Yeah, 5 people dead, and one of those an unborn child. Now, let's be clear, like you mentioned, Rafael, this hasn't happened here in Indianapolis in a very long time, but we're releasing the name of those victims today. And earlier, we talked with Chief Taylor, and he kind of explained that this was so heartbreaking. Let's hear what he had to say.
There are no right words to say at this time when our community must come to terms with the largest mass casualty shooting in more than a decade.
Those victims are 42-year-old Kezzie Childs, 42-year-old Raymond Childs Jr., 18-year-old Elijah Childs, 13-year-old Rita Childs, and 19-year-old Kiara Hawkins and her unborn son. Of course, we will keep working on this as this morning continues, but I can tell you right now that the chief has already said that they have everyone working on this and they're working to get those leads as soon as possible. Reporting live, I'm Troy Washington, WRTV.
Heartbreaking situation. Thank you, Troy. Today, IPS will take its next step in welcoming students back to the classroom. All students will be in the classroom at least a few days each week. Students in pre-K through 6th grade will be completely in person. Starting today, 7th grade through 12th grade students will be on a hybrid schedule. Each Wednesday will be a virtual learning day for all students. It's important to note students in middle school will follow the hybrid schedule, Lauren.
And Megan, it is 5:04. Many Hoosier families grieving the death of a loved one are getting caught up in red tape and delays after the state started a new system for records.
I cannot get anything done until the death certificate is in my hand. And it is a nightmare.
At the start of the year, Indiana launched a new birth and death record system. It's meant to be more secure and function better, but doctors, funeral directors, and others who need to sign off on those records must first register through the system, leading to a backlog of more than 3,000 death certificates. The problem is causing pain and frustration for families and even more for funeral home owners.
Families depend on those to proceed with their business dealings after the loss of a loved one for insurance and other business matters. Many people rely on that to survive to get their proceeds from life insurance.
So the State Department of Health says it's offering help and training for physicians, coroners, and others who have trouble with the new record system. And so if you need help getting a death certificate, you can work with your funeral home director, contact the State Department of Health or your legislator. Raphael.
Laura, now turning to the pandemic and its impact on our state. This morning, state health officials confirmed nearly 2,600 new coronavirus cases. The state also reports 23 more Hoosiers have died with the virus. Those figures coming in from Sunday. So far this month, nearly 1,200 people in Indiana have died with COVID-19. Taking a look at the vaccine distribution in our state, more than 30,000 Hoosiers received their first doses of the vaccine on Saturday. Nearly 419,000 Hoosiers have received the first dose of the vaccine. That's a statewide figure. This morning, more than 94,000 Hoosiers are fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
Raphael, Hoosiers have been putting their travel plans on hold since last March, but our Kelsey Anderson explains as the world slowly reopens, the travel industry is having to adjust.
Starting tomorrow, all travelers traveling back into the United States must have a negative COVID-19 test before getting on their plane. And that could be an added expense to your vacation plans, so you may want to check with your airlines before you pack your bags. One of Good Morning Indiana's producers is heading to Mexico for a trip, and on her return, she knows she will have to get a COVID-19 test. American Airlines sent her this link outlining the practices and where they recommend she get that test. One option they sent lets her get checked at home using a testing kit that cost about $150. I spoke with Mark Moorhead, the president of the Travel Agent Inc., and he suggests everyone planning a trip get travel insurance because nobody knows what will happen in 2021.
In the past, we always encouraged purchasing travel insurance. Now, I don't think, I'm not so sure we will enact some kind of requirement that falls into that category in order to protect them. People don't know what they don't know.
American Airlines says if you test positive for COVID-19, you will not be able to return to the United States, and they will rebook your flight at least 14 days after your positive results. And the cost of staying abroad for 2 extra weeks would be on you. When our Good Morning Indiana producer returns from her vacation, we are going to lay out everything she went through during her trip as far as COVID-19 protocols are concerned. Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. This morning, the CDC has a list of nearly 150 destinations listed for travelers to avoid. Canada, Mexico, and the Bahamas. All frequent destinations for American travels are on that list. The CDC recommends after traveling internationally, you stay home for at least 7 days, even if you test negative for the coronavirus. Time now is 5:08, and of course, it is a storm team alert day, Todd, and those temperatures. Ooh.
Yeah, you know, when I have a lot of colors on the map here, it's never a good thing, right? If it's one color, it's basically rain or it's snow. But when you have multiple colors, that's when you're starting to get into all the mixed precipitation types. So to the south, it's mainly a brief period of freezing rain, then going over to all rain. Through the middle portion of the state, including all along I-70, Indianapolis, and about a tier of counties to the north of Indy, it starts off some snow, maybe some minor accumulations, generally an inch or less, before it goes over to freezing rain, which is probably the bigger concern, and then eventually over to all rain for places like Bloomington, Columbus, Nashville, even into Johnson County. My biggest concern for you is probably freezing rain, and then for those of you to the north, it's snow for a while before going over to a mixture of freezing rain as well. Snow accumulations are not going to be significant here in central Indiana. And once you get to northern Indiana, though, that's where it's a different story, as you could see maybe 5-6 inches of snow as you get closer to the border with Michigan. Michigan. Here's the storm system right now. It has a lot of precipitation with it, and it's going to be rolling in here as we get into the middle half of the morning. I think the kids get to school just fine. Coming home from school may be a little more difficult as the precipitation really ramps up mid-morning through early afternoon, and then it'll kind of taper off. But as the heaviest of that precipitation comes in during the course of the middle half of the day, that's when temperatures are still at or below freezing. So a lot of that could be in the form of freezing rain. Winter weather advisories are posted. We'll break it all down for you. Maine weather coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. The next phase of former President Trump's impeachment trial set to move forward today. Coming up, how this impeachment trial will be different than the last. It's 5:10. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The car you want, the way you want.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. President Biden will begin his full week in the White House today, while Congress plans to move forward with Donald Trump's second impeachment.
That's right. Our Joe St. George explains how this impeachment trial will be different than the last.
Gone but not forgotten. Nearly 2 weeks after being impeached in the House, the article of impeachment alleging former President Trump engaged in insurrection contributing to the Capitol riots is expected to be sent to the Senate today, triggering the start of his trial. So what will be the differences between his last impeachment trial and this one?
Well, for one, he will be a former president, and the United States Senate has never conducted an impeachment trial for a former president, which is allowing for some flexibility and changes to the rules.
There is the possibility Chief Justice John Roberts may not preside. Roberts, after all, has a day job, and an impeachment trial is time-consuming. If this was a current president's trial, he would have no choice. But because Trump is out of office, Chief Roberts could hand the duties to Vice President Kamala Harris, who is president of the Senate, or Senator Patrick Leahy, who is the longest-serving Democratic senator. Big change number two, this impeachment trial may not last as long. Here is the length of recent presidential impeachment trials. President Trump's 2020 trial lasted 21 days. President Clinton's 1999 trial lasted 37 days. But again, because former President Trump is not in office, things may be sped up a bit. After all, it only took 1 week after the Capitol riots for the House to impeach former President Trump. Another change, there's a chance the Senate listens to the new president, who doesn't want senators to devote their entire day to impeachment like the last time.
You go half day on dealing with the impeachment and half day getting my people nominated and confirmed.
One thing we do know, the trial will not begin right away. Democrats in the Senate will wait until the week of February 8th to begin. Butch Bowers, a South Carolina attorney, will defend the former president, at stake whether or not Donald Trump can ever run for office again. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
It is 5:15, so have you ever gotten a package that you didn't order? Well, it can actually be part of a scam. This has happened to me. Cyber experts have been warning consumers about deliveries known as brushing scams. So here's how it works. Third-party sellers on Amazon, eBay, and other online marketplaces pay people to write fake positive reviews about their products. They'll be able to post the reviews, so these so-called brushers need this to trick the site into making it appear that a legitimate transaction took place. The FTC has gone after marketers using the fake reviews, but it's not illegal to send customers unordered merchandise. It's just kind of annoying, Raphael.
It's very annoying. That's happened to me, so please don't be scammed. I didn't lose any money, but I did get merchandise that I had to send back, and it's just a big headache. So just avoid it, as Lauren just mentioned. Pacers head coach Nate Bajorkin faced some familiar faces inside a Bankers Life Fieldhouse. The Pacers hosting the Raptors for a 2-game homestand. Bajorkin, as you may recall, served as an assistant coach for the Raptors for nearly 2 years. With just 44 seconds left in the game, the blue and gold were trailing by 1, but a forced shot clock violation would seal a Raptors win. The Pacers fall at home 107-102. The two teams meet again for a 7 o'clock tip-off tonight at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. On this Monday morning, we're keeping a close eye on what Todd Clausen has to say. Every second, every word that Todd is saying today, we're saying, come on, Todd, give us some good news. Maybe, hopefully, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's the best news for you, Raphael, as we have this winter storm heading our way. But you mentioned every minute, and things are going to change almost not so much minute by minute, but hour by hour as we work our way throughout the day today. Radar's quiet right now. If you're heading off to work in the 5 o'clock hour, 6 o'clock hour, or even the 7 o'clock hour, I think for the most part we're in pretty good shape. Definitely in good shape from Indy to the north, as The precipitation is still making its way towards us, now approaching Evansville, though, and this will start to move to the north fairly quick. The earlier you can get to work, the better off you will be here throughout the course of the day. I think all the kids make it to school just fine. While the kids are at school, though, that's when we'll be dealing with a bit of a freezing rain mixture. So as the kids come home from school, there could be some issues on the roadways. Just be aware of that. Temperatures right now are below freezing in all locations to the north, right at freezing in Bloomington and Bedford. Anytime we deal with freezing rain, as you well know, a degree or two makes a huge difference. And so as you cross the miles off of your driving, it's going to be a big difference from northern locations to southern locations as you work your way throughout the day today. Temperatures will slowly start to climb as we work our way throughout the day today. And we're still right around 30 degrees at 11 a.m. Even by the noon hour, we're at 31, 32, so borderline freezing mark. And then eventually, as we work our way into the evening hours, everybody will transition over to mainly just all rain. So usually when the sun sets, that's when we worry about refreezing. Not going to be the case here this evening. The trouble spot is the middle portion of the day here with this wintry mix that'll be moving in. Let me walk you through it on TrueCast here. Starts off as snow for almost everybody, but quickly goes over to some freezing rain and then just plain old rain in southern locations. The further north you are, the longer you'll hold on to the potential for some accumulating snow. In fact, there could be a pretty good burst of accumulating snow as some of this precipitation starts to make its way into the area, and that would reduce visibilities on the roadways as well. But eventually that warmer air will continue to work its way to the north, and by 4 or 5 o'clock this evening, that's when I think we are dealing mainly with rain across the area, with a little bit of freezing rain still here in northern locations, and then temperatures overnight will be above freezing for most of us. So the real wintry weather, I think, overnight and into your Tuesday morning will be really confined to northern portions of the state of Indiana. As far as the snow goes, it's not a huge snowmaker for us, but obviously 1 to maybe 2 inches of snow where we get that burst, which looks like it could be right along the I-70 corridor. And then eventually we go over to more in the way of ice and freezing rain. And some of that freezing rain accumulation could be significant across the area. We're talking about a couple tenths of an inch, which will slicken up the roadways quite a bit and kind of glaze the trees and power lines. Probably not enough ice, though, to bring them down. So that is the good news. Still unsettled, Lauren, Tuesday and Wednesday with temperatures in the 30s.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at your commute right now as you're heading out the door. This is a live look at I-465 and Fall Creek Road up on the northeast side. Traffic is moving along up to speed. No issues to slow you down here on the interstates. No crashes or issues to slow you down on any side streets as well. We were learning that DPW has had 80 trucks out on the road since late on Saturday night, and they're going to remain out on the roads until Tuesday morning. So give them plenty of space if you see them on your morning commute. Megan?
Good advice. Thanks, Lauren. And hand sanitizer is a good way to protect yourself against germs. We all know that. But it may also present hidden dangers. Researchers in France discovered a large uptick in the number of eye injuries caused by these sanitizers. 16 cases required hospitalization, as opposed to just 1 case in 2019. All of those admissions were in children under 4 years old, and 2 of those required surgery. Most cases of eye exposure to hand sanitizer are mild. Raphael.
Megan, thank you. A new business on the city's west side is cooking up some success. After the break, why this new restaurant has people lining up all the way down the street. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on WRTV.
Welcome back. WRTV is dedicated to showcasing businesses that are surviving and even thriving as the pandemic continues, Raphael.
And so, Megan, our Cameron Riddle takes us to a new restaurant defying the odds.
On the west side of Indianapolis, a new restaurant is attracting a lot of attention.
California burger is good, man. I'm telling you, the hospitality stay the same. It's being shut down some whole bunch of burger joints around here.
At any given hour of the day, the line for a California burger is wrapped around the building and flowing on to 16th Street. Owner Bashar Hugues says the line has been like this since they first opened their doors on January 1st.
And people told us all the time that this wouldn't work out, that a burger restaurant in this particular area across, McDonald's wouldn't work out. And it's been the complete opposite.
Without doing any advertising except for an Instagram page with just over a dozen posts, California Burger is capturing the attention of customers who in some cases are waiting over an hour just to get a taste of a Philly steak sandwich or one of the more than 20 cook-to-order burgers.
Got me a double burger with bacon, some fries, and 2 spicy chicken sandwiches.
While the first month of business appears to be a success, Hugh Gaze and his co-owner brother weren't always sure opening a restaurant in a pandemic was a good idea. Just totally gutting and renovating this former Taco Bell into a restaurant with a California vibe was a challenge by itself.
There were so many people with jobs like construction working that we needed to get done, and we'd call some of them and some of them would tell us that they couldn't work due to the pandemic, that they weren't comfortable enough to do the job.
Despite the odds, the restaurant is up and running and already attracting curiosity and a loyal fan base.
Yeah, it lives up to the hype. It's my second time this week.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Now you just made all of us hungry here in the studio. That looked really, really good. All right, outside right now it is dry, but it is a Storm Team 6 alert day. You heard that beep, beep. That's the sound you would hear if you have the Storm Shield app downloaded on your phone, which I encourage. Completely free. You can find it in the App Store. It alerted you yesterday to the winter weather advisory that got issued. That goes into effect here this morning as all this precipitation will start to head in our direction. Starts off as a little bit of snow, but don't think of this storm system as a big snowmaker because we'll change over to freezing rain and rain, so any snow that does fall will melt away pretty quickly. But icy conditions certainly a possibility here through the middle portion of the day as those temperatures will be hovering right around freezing. More on this storm system as well as your latest news headlines coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
At 10 on WRTV. From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Here at 5:30, I want to thank you for joining our team on Good Morning Indiana on this Monday morning. It is a Storm Team alert day, as you can see behind me here, so we want to get right to Todd Clausen and tell us what's going on. Todd, you said we kind of have a mixed bag coming our way. This is the most Indiana forecast I think we've ever had.
Yeah, there's a lot of forms of precipitation heading our way. In fact, we probably see all of them at some point across parts of central Indiana today. I think freezing rain, though, is our biggest concern. I want you to think more of this as potentially an icy situation than a snowy situation going forward throughout the day. Winter weather advisories posted for everywhere except for Seymour and Bedford down there in Lawrence and Jackson County. Your temperature's probably just warm enough that you avoid a lot of this freezing rain that is going to be coming in. Radar is quiet right now, at least here in central Indiana. You see a few returns showing up here just across the state line, but this is a big storm system and a lot of moisture is going to be heading our way. Approaching Evansville right now. If you get on the roadways in the next hour or two, you should be just fine. After that, though, we'll start to run into more in the way of issues as this precipitation moves in. I think a lot of us start off with a brief burst of snow, and then we kind of transition over into that freezing rain situation. Temperatures at or below freezing in all locations here this morning. These temperatures probably go down another degree or two before we start to see them slowly start to climb. The middle half of the day, 11 a.m. through about 1, 2 o'clock, temperatures right around freezing. And we'll be dealing with freezing rain at that point in most locations, some snow to the north. And then by the time we get to the evening commute, temperatures will be above freezing. So that'll be good news as we'll start to see just plain old rain. We'll break it all down for you in more detail coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Things are pretty quiet so far on the roads. Of course, we'll be keeping you updated as conditions change with the weather. This is I-70 and Harding Street west of downtown where everything's traveling up to speed, starting to pick up, as you can see on the left side of your screen, all the headlights. We'll continue to keep you updated again, but you shouldn't have any problems at this early hour. Megan?
Lauren, thank you. New overnight, another shooting investigation is underway in Indianapolis. This after a weekend of deadly violence. Police were called to Redskin Place around 2:30 this morning. That's near 30th Street and German Church Road. When they arrived, they found one person shot. That victim was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Police have not released any more information at this time. And it's being called the worst mass shooting Indianapolis has seen in more than a decade.
Our Troy Washington is live this morning with the latest on the investigation into this mass shooting which shocked the city on Sunday. Troy?
Good morning. Guys, to be exact, it's been 15 years since something this horrifying has happened in the city. We have 6 victims, including an unborn child. Now, this morning we do have the names of those victims. It is 42-year-old Kezzy Childs, 42-year-old Raymond Childs Jr., 18-year-old Elijah Childs, 13-year-old Rita Childs, and 19-year-old Kiera Hawkins and her unborn son. Now, the Mayor Joe Hogg said he told us that he will not stop until he catches the people responsible.
To know that the full might of local, state, and federal law enforcement are coming for them as I speak. Be the person who says this type of violence, this senseless terror has no place in our community.
Now, police say that they don't believe this was a random act. FBI and IMPD, they are working together to work on those leads and investigate. We'll keep you updated on the latest developments with this. Reporting live downtown, I'm Troy Washington, WRTV.
Troy, thank you. We want to put this mass shooting into perspective. The mass murder there on Adams Street comes 15 years after the horrific scene on Hamilton Avenue back in June of 2006, a story that I covered from beginning to end 15 years ago. That impacted 3 families, the Albaran, Valdez, and Covarrubias families. 7 people, including 3 children, were killed execution style during that home invasion. 2 men were arrested and convicted in that case. Now, I spoke with Janie Covarrubias last night. Her family members were killed on Hamilton Avenue. When she heard about what happened on Adams Street, she says she was overwhelmed with emotions. In a statement to WRTV, she says, "We are still at a loss of words when something like this happens. Our anxiety levels go up. And to this day, we haven't fully healed, not sure if we ever will." Janie goes on to say, "We pray that the people affected on Sunday find peace during this difficult time. May God help the police and the people affected find justice and peace."
It is 5:35. Let's go now to Indiana's latest battle against COVID-19. More than 5,000 new cases were reported over the weekend in total. The State Department of Health reported about 3,200 on Saturday and 2,565 on Saturday, and then 2,565 on Sunday. Indiana's total cases have now surpassed 611,000. 73 new deaths were also reported over the past weekend. 1,165 have happened so far in January, but that's still less than half the total number that we saw in December, Megan.
Lauren, so far more than 418,000 Hoosiers have been given their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. And today, a community-based health center is ready to distribute more. The Raphael Health Center is on 34th Street near Central Avenue. Vaccinations are already scheduled for the next 4 weeks. Health officials say it's critical to get vaccines to people in underserved communities.
The state's been intentional about saying, okay, we recognize that there's going to be vaccine hesitancy, that there's difficulty in getting a message across to underserved communities, rural communities, minority communities, and health centers are that connection point. Again, kind of back to what the health center does. They're based in the community and they're driven by the community. And so there's a natural trust there. And so to reach underserved areas, the state recognized very appropriately that health centers are that vehicle to make that connection point.
Get this, the center has started a standby list, so no dose will go wasted if someone misses their appointment. Right now, anyone age 70 and older, long-term care residents, first responders, and healthcare workers are eligible for the vaccine in Indiana. You can register online at rshot.in.gov or by calling 211. And in Fishers, a mass vaccination site will also open this morning. The former Marsh store has been transformed for this project. That's at the corner of 116th Street and Brooks School Road. At minimum, the Fishers Health Department expects that the site will vaccinate more than 1,600 people a day. And to get a shot, you must have a pre-scheduled appointment and have no COVID-19 symptoms, Lauren.
And Megan, as Indiana prepares to host March Madness, the state, Indiana Sports Corps, and NCAA are launching a Mask Madness. So today, these are free masks that they're going to start handing out across the state. Hopefully you can see them here. It's all in an effort to promote safety ahead of this big event in our state. More than 100,000 of these masks will be distributed today through the Final Four weekend. Places like Gleaner's Food Bank, universities, and Indianapolis public spaces will all be part of handing them out. If you get one, they encourage you to share it on social media. Just use the hashtag Mask Madness. This year's NCAA men's basketball tournament will be the first ever to be conducted exclusively in one state. All right, let's get a look at our forecast for today. Todd, what can we expect as people are heading out this Monday?
You know, you hear winter storm in the forecast. We have the winter weather advisory that is posted. Came out yesterday, so you know the storm is coming. What about the kids heading off to school? There's no school delays out there right now. I'm not expecting any school delays here this morning because most everybody gets to school before the precipitation moves in. However, while the kids are at school, that's when we deal with the heaviest of the precipitation. And as they come home, we're kind of in that light rain, a freezing rain transition as temperatures will continue to climb throughout the day. So definitely, I think it's a bigger issue as the kids come home from school than going this morning as far as any slippery conditions or travel troubles. The precipitation ramps up as we head into mid-morning through the early afternoon, and then as we work our way into the evening hours, we're dealing with mainly at that point some rain. The coverage should decrease a little bit as well as we work our way into the afternoon and evening hours. But as far as precipitation types, quickly going over to just all rain as you work your way from Bedford to Seymour. I'm most concerned about the area here in the pink. That is where we have a brief snow. Any snow that falls should melt away pretty quickly as we transition over to the freezing rain. So icy conditions here, and then to the north, some light snowfall totals, and then eventually getting into freezing rain as well. We'll break this all down for you using TrueCast and show you some specific ice totals in your community coming up in just a few minutes.
Looking forward to that. Thank you, Todd. Many people are starting to travel again for the first time since the pandemic. Coming up, our Kelsey Anderson shows us how travel agencies are surviving and the upcoming changes that could impact your flight.
And Super Bowl 55 is set. How the two teams are already making history ahead of the big game. It's 5:40. Stick around. We'll be right back.
We want to help.
Welcome back. Let's get a check of traffic as you're heading out the door this morning. Here's I-465 and Michigan Road up on the north side of town. Traffic there is traveling up to speed in all directions, as you can see. No crashes to slow you down around the metro area. We'll continue to monitor those roads and keep you updated this morning. Raphael?
Well, since last March, we know that many Hoosier families have put their travel plans on hold, Megan. No summer vacations, no fall break, no winter break, all because of COVID-19 restrictions.
That's right. And WRTV's Kelsey Anderson joins us this morning with how the travel industry is adjusting and what you need to know.
Well, many of us are dying to pack our bags and head literally anywhere other than our own homes. And we spoke to a travel agency to see how they're dealing with this continuing pandemic.
We're going to try and weather through this storm just like we have all the other circumstances in the past.
Mark Moorhead is the president of the Travel Agent Inc. in Carmel. Being in business for more than 40 years, they have weathered plenty of storms.
In the 90s, we had an economic downturn. In 2007 and 8, we had an economic. Certainly 9/11, when all air traffic stopped. And you had those people who said they aren't going to travel anymore, but then the majority of our clients are very seasoned travelers, and they understand that this will come back.
He says the majority of his clients decided not to ask for refunds and instead put their trips on pause.
And they've decided that they will be traveling again, so they said, just hold on to my tickets and my information and so forth, and I want to get back to Europe and South America and go on the cruises and so forth.
As of right now, you are allowed to travel outside the country, but starting tomorrow, you will be required to have a negative COVID-19 test to get back into the United States. This applies to everyone, regardless of citizenship or vaccination status. And as we continue to navigate through this pandemic and the ever-changing circumstances, Moorhead suggests everyone planning a trip go through an agency and purchase insurance.
In the past, we always encouraged purchasing travel insurance. Now, I don't think, I'm not so sure we won't enact some kind of requirement that falls into that category in order to protect them. People don't know what they don't know.
One of our Good Morning Indiana producers is packing her bags, and she's heading out of the country for a quick vacation. Now she knows she's going to have to get that COVID-19 test. At her resort, it's free, but she says other resorts, that's not the case, and it may have to be something you add into your travel expenses. Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. In addition to those changes, starting today, President Biden is reinstating COVID travel restrictions for international travelers. It affects people coming from Brazil, South Africa, Ireland, the UK, and 26 other European nations. It's due to new COVID-19 variants spreading throughout the world. The new restriction reverses an order by former President Trump that called for relaxing those restrictions. Trump signed an executive order lifting them before the inauguration. That was supposed to take effect on Tuesday, Lauren.
And Megan, police departments nationwide are grappling with how off-duty officers involved in the Capitol riot should be disciplined. Out in Virginia, 2 officers who posed for a photo have now been charged in connection to entering a restricted building. Meanwhile, in Seattle, 5 officers are being investigated as to whether their actions are protected by free speech or if they cross the line to breaking the law. A survey from the Associated Press found that at least 12 states are looking into whether officers participated in violence while in Washington. And Apple is working on a big new project. The tech company Apple reportedly working on a new virtual reality headset. According to Bloomberg, the headset will be mainly used as augmented reality device like Sony's PlayStation VR and Oculus systems. Apple is not yet saying anything about the project, but tech insiders say the headset will be a high-end pair of VR glasses with a more mainstreamed version to come out later. The headset would be Apple's first new product type since it's released the Apple Watch back in 2015. The time right now is 5:47 on this Storm Team Alert Day. Todd, what have you got for us?
We got a lot going on here in this forecast, Lauren. A little bit of everything as far as precipitation goes during the course of the day today. It's dry right now. That is the good news. Things will be changing in about another hour or two, especially in southern locations. And this morning is when a lot of this precipitation comes in, and it's a whole mixed bag, and it really just depends on where you reside and what you'll see throughout the course of the day today. I think the predominant precipitation type is going to be this freezing rain, which is probably the worst of the precipitation types that we can deal with. Eventually, by the afternoon, we all transition over to mainly some rain, and the biggest issue will be obviously slick surfaces, sidewalks, roads, your steps in your backyard as you deal with some of this freezing rain. The problem is temperatures are below freezing here at the surface, but this storm system is going to bring some warmer air with it. Warmer air is less dense than the cold air that's at the surface, so it rides up and over that layer of colder air, and that's how we get into this freezing rain situation. Normally, when you would just have a cold atmosphere from bottom to top and temperatures in the 30s, we'd be dealing with snow. That's not the case, unfortunately, here throughout the day today. Temperatures go down another couple degrees this morning before they slowly start to climb, but it's probably not until 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon that we get the temperatures above freezing for most of us, and at that point, we'll start to transition over to just some plain old rain, and the temperatures at the surface will be above freezing, so we'll start to see any ice that's on the roadways, on the sidewalks, on your handrails, your mailbox start to melt away. Now, start as a little bit of snow at the beginning, and it's not out of the question that quickly in some spots the roads could get covered with snow. Definitely a possibility, but as we transition over to the freezing rain and the rain, any snow that does fall will basically kind of just melt away into some slush as that rain starts to come down. So do not think of this as a big snowmaker, but yes, some of you will likely see coating to maybe up to an inch of snow in spots. Now, as we work our way into the evening hours, there's definitely more green than pink on here. That is showing more in the way of rain, but especially this evening still in northern locations where the temperatures will be running a little bit colder. I think you could run into some issues that'll last past sunset into the early evening hours. The heaviest of the snow that's going to stay well to our north, as you see on our snowfall forecast, with that first burst of snow could be up to an inch in spots, but it's going to wash away, so it's going to be really difficult to kind of measure. This is what's going to be the bigger issue for us the ice. And you notice as we're getting into Lebanon, Indy, Franklin, down to Bloomington, we're talking about a couple tenths of an inch of ice to over a quarter inch in some locations. Obviously enough to cause lots of issues on the roadways. And the freezing rain, right? You're driving and you're like, oh, this is just rain. My windshield wipers are taking care of it. You don't realize it's freezing on the roadway. So that's why you really need to use caution. This evening, though, look at this. The temperatures climb up into the mid to upper 30s. So this evening, when we typically talk a lot, I always tell you after sunset and temperatures cool, that's when we run into issues with refreezing. Not the case here today, as temperatures will continue to climb across the area. And then eventually, as we work our way into the overnight hours, we're in the mid 30s. And then for tomorrow, temperatures will eventually get up to near 40 degrees with a few rain showers still lingering around tomorrow, only for some more snow showers to come in Wednesday, but obviously that is just some light precipitation. Our bigger concern here, Lauren, definitely the middle portion of the day today. That's when the precipitation is the most widespread and also the heaviest.
All right, Todd, thanks for breaking that down for us. Let's take a look, though, at your commute as you're heading out on the roads early this Monday morning. There's I-465. A look here near East 71st Street. This is the northeast side where traffic is picking up. You can see everything is traveling smoothly. Again, no precipitation or issues here at this early hour, but it's something we'll monitor throughout your day, and we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, those folks are happy. An exciting moment for Kansas City Chiefs fans as their team is running it back for a second straight Super Bowl. Kansas City, as you know, beat Buffalo at home last night. Patrick Mahomes and team will now face future Hall of Famer Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at their home. What? Yep, it's happening. This is the first time in history that a team in the Super Bowl will play in their home stadium. The Buccaneers beat Green Bay for the NFC title. Tom Brady is also making history. At 43 years young, he will be the oldest player to play in the Super Bowl. This will be his 10th appearance in the championship game. Super Bowl 55 will be played Sunday, February the 7th.
And Raphael, staying in the sports world, the NFL is rewarding several hardworking healthcare workers with free tickets to this year's Super Bowl. 7,500 of those on the front lines will get to attend the game in Florida for free, of course. They will be part of the 22,000 people allowed at the Super Bowl stadium, and that's still less than half of the stadium's capacity. All of the healthcare workers will have received their full doses of the coronavirus vaccine before going, Lauren.
Well, Megan, some call it therapeutic, others find it really annoying. Today is a national day to honor bubble wrap, how the popular packing item came to be, and the celebration's ties to Indiana. It's 5:53. We'll be right back.
We're worth it.
Welcome back. All right, Raphael, I was a fan of this, but I don't know if you are. Today is National Bubble Wrap Day. I always found it fun.
So some like to pop that bubble wrap, others like to pack with it, but that's not how it got its start, Megan. You see, back in the day, engineers first envisioned the bubble wrap as wallpaper when they created it back in the mid-20th century. But things really got poppin', as we would say back in the Bronx, when IBM used it to ship computers back in 1961, which is proof that Todd Clausen was around and had a computer to track severe weather back in the day. By the way, bubble wrap Day created by an Indiana radio employee. That's your history lesson on this Monday.
Fun fact.
I do remember 1991, Raphael. So.
61.
Oh, 61. Oh, 61. I do not remember 1961. There's no chance on that one. I was busy moving my graphics around, and so I got that messed up. 61. All right. Outside right now, we're dealing with dry conditions, but the precipitation is getting ready to move into central Indiana. You notice it extends way back off to our west. It's going to be a whole mixed bag. Some of us probably start off with some snow. We quickly transition over to freezing rain. It's going to be a bit of a mess here this afternoon. Winter weather advisories are posted. We'll talk about it in more detail for you coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.